The Basics of Astrology, Course 1 by Kathy Wisniewski. The Basics of Astrology, Course 1, Kathy Wisniewski, copyright December 2015 by Kathy Wisniewski. Table of Contents, page 1. Table of Contents, page 2. Table of Contents, page 3. Introduction. There are many reasons to study the science and art of astrology. For me, it was an overwhelming obsession in my late teens. Something about this subject fascinated me. Unlike most people who skirted around the issues of this material via newspaper, horoscopes, or sun sign astrology, I dove right into the formal study of this subject. I bought books that taught me how to manually construct birth charts, and other books that taught the interpretive details. I was overwhelming for me in the beginning because of the way these earlier books were laid out. In those days, there were no teachers available for me to consult and no internet websites to consult. I was on my own. I just could not keep all of the various components of astrology in my head. It was only hard work and pure grit that kept me going. After about 5 years, the information I was studying finally came together for me in a reliable way. I don't want it to take that long for my students. That is why I have written this course. My goal with this teaching material is to help others in a way that I wish had been available to me when I first began my studies over 40 years ago. This course approaches the learning experience in as many different manners as possible. First, there is the presentation of the material in written form. Then the student is asked to translate into their own words what they have learned from the material presented. Next, they are asked to do a contemplation on the lesson just received. This is done so that the higher faculties of learning are engaged in the experience. I have discovered through the years that when you have a direct experience of the learning material, it will stay with you forever. In contemplation, a direct personal experience occurs that brings the entire body of knowledge to life. Another way that this teaching course is different from any other that I have come across is that it explains why all of these components of astrology are as they are. In my own life, I have discovered that I must understand why something is done in a certain way, or it has little meaning for me. I want to provide the answers to my students in as many ways as possible, so that this material can become a living part of their personal reality. I have also included material in the lessons that use as many of the physical senses as possible. Sight, sound, and smell are used to help bring this information home to the student for the most complete personal experience of this material possible. This teaching course is the culmination of over 40 years of study and life experience that is geared to provide the most comprehensive learning experience possible. Before you begin, we will go over some components of the learning experiences presented in these lessons. Contemplation. Contemplations are used extensively throughout this course. It is important to understand what they are and how to do them. Contemplations are the quickest and one of the best methods of attaining good and regular communications with your higher self. They do not require anything special, just 20 to 30 minutes in a comfortable seated position where you can be alone. Contemplation shares many qualities with meditation, except that in meditation you work to clear your mind so that communications from your higher self can be heard and experienced, while in contemplations you go into the experience with a set thought on which you want to achieve greater clarity. There is nothing magical about contemplations. All that is required of you is to practice in order to achieve a good, strong personal connection with your higher self. How to contemplate. Find a quiet spot where you can sit comfortably and be undisturbed for 20 to 30 minutes. It helps to use a timer. Set it for 20 minutes so that you can just flow with the contemplation. Begin with the clearing of the contemplation space. Close your eyes and visualize a brilliant ball of white light at the center of your chest. Fill this ball of white light with unconditional love. Once you have done this, visualize this brilliant ball of love-filled white light expanding until it fills the entire room with its radiance. Next, you will call upon your spirit guides, who are always with you regardless of whether you are aware of their presence or not. Say, "I call my spirit guides to be here with me now." Also, call upon a deity that is of importance to you, or angels that you feel a strong connection with in a similar fashion. Have these beings present with you before a contemplation. Now ask your spirit guide and deity to remove all negative forces and beings from your sacred space. Then ask to have any cords of connection cut that these negative forces may have had with you. Wait for a minute or so. Then refill your sacred space with brilliant white light. In your mind's eye, see your spirit guides, deities, angels, and any other beings of light that bring you peace and security there with you in your sacred space. You may not be able to visualize these beings at first. That's fine. Just start out by knowing that they are there, or by sensing their presence. Understand, though, that when you ask for their presence, they will be with you. Whether or not you can see them or sense them, they are there. Now close your eyes and fill yourself with unconditional love. You may be able to do just this, but most people need to think of someone or some past event to recreate this feeling of deep love. Let yourself be immersed in it and generate intense love within yourself. Now, with your eyes closed, visualize a picture, object, or anything else that pertains to the question about which you want greater clarity. Formulate this picture clearly and with as much detail as you can. Use colors, feelings, and anything else that you can think of to firmly anchor the question in your mind. Or you can just simply go over what you learned in the lesson. Whatever works best for you. Now soften your mind. Let it go where it wants to go. This process is similar to daydreaming. You will find images, speech, or thoughts coming and going as you sit in contemplation. Gently bring your mind back to the subject in question, if it wanders too far off course, and gently discover what flows into you. Sometimes you'll have great revelations during the contemplation. At other times it may feel like nothing has happened at all and that it was a complete waste of time. The thing to remember here is that it is never a waste of time. Sometimes, especially when you first start to contemplate, your higher mind does not answer your question in the formal time frame of the 20 to 30-minute contemplation. It will often answer your questions and give greater insights into the matter throughout the course of the day, or in your dreams that night. The key point to remember is that when you do the formal contemplation, you have asked the question and it will be answered. At the conclusion of the contemplation, give thanks to your spirit guides, deities, or angels that are present, and then return to your normal consciousness to resume your day. The ways that the higher mind communicates. The higher self is constantly communicating with you, but most people are unable to hear or understand this communication. With the practice of formal contemplations, you will develop the ability to communicate immediately with your higher self to gain insights. But until this learning curve of formal contemplations is traversed, you will probably find that your higher mind answers you differently than you might expect. When your higher mind first starts to communicate with you in contemplation, it may sound like your own voice talking to you in your mind. It is absolutely critical that you trust that what you are hearing is your higher mind talking. Any hint of skepticism here will kill the entire process. You must believe absolutely in the truth of these communications. It helps to visualize your spirit guide, deity, angel, or other light being in your mind. Very soon, your higher mind may decide to talk through these beings of light. If that happens for you, that light being will be your permanent guide through contemplations. Some people use the image of Jesus Christ, others use Buddha, Krishna, or a Native American medicine man. Use whatever feels right to you. You will know the truth. Always trust this. A common method of communications from the higher mind that most people have experienced is the phenomena of the hunch, the gut level feeling, or the sense of something impending in your life. Some other ways the higher mind communicates are: have you ever walked through a city street and a sign or a word in an advertisement seems to just pop out to you as of something of significance? Have you ever read a magazine, book, or something on the internet and a word or a phrase seemed to have special meaning? Have you ever had dreams that seemed to answer some pressing question you needed an answer to? These are some of the ways that your higher mind communicates with you. The higher mind may also communicate via the golden-tongued wisdom. This is the phenomena of some stranger saying something to you out of the blue that will pertain to what is on your mind. It is mind-blowing when this happens. Or else a TV program or movie will come into your life all of a sudden that addresses your matter of concern. Or a book or other printed material will suddenly leap out in your consciousness as of importance. The key with these pieces of special knowledge is to learn how to read them and understand what they mean in your life. A good book on dreams or symbols will help with this, but it's not necessary. You are capable of figuring it out yourself. Weird things happen to us all the time and we pass them off as nothing. Don't do this. Everything has meaning when you start formally communicating with your higher self via contemplations. The gate is open, so to speak, and information is going to flow out to you in ways that you can understand. Everything that happens to you throughout the day has meaning. When you start to communicate formally, all of this randomness becomes more cohesive. After a certain point, you will be able to view the meanings of life as they occur, kind of like walking in a state of prescience. It all starts with a 20 to 30-minute contemplation. It is the formal asking of the question. You may get answers in your mind, either in your own voice or another voice. It may come as pictures in your mind. It may come later in your day as you are concentrating on another task, or it may occur during your dreams, and the answer will just be with you when you wake up. The bottom line is that when the answer will come in the form that you will be able to understand, you just have to open yourself up to the experience. A special word on the use of pendulums, I Ching coins, Ouija boards, and other physical items of divination. You will open the possibility of an unseen being manipulating the divining object unless you clear the space, either by using the space clearing method outlined in the beginning of the How to Contemplate section at the beginning of this lesson, or one of your own methods. In the long run, it is simply safer and better to learn how to contemplate. Props and other areas of concern. In some of the lessons, you will need certain props to stimulate the physical senses, things like incense, pictures, colors, and music. When listening to music, it is helpful to use headphones and close your eyes for a deeper experience. You may find that it is helpful to write out the material that you have learned in each lesson in your own words. This can help enormously to drive the information deep within you. When you study these lessons, put all of your energies into learning the material for just that lesson. When you have completed it, set it aside, what you have just learned, and concentrate completely on just the material of the next lesson. Don't be concerned that you will forget what you learned. It will be there for you when you move into actual birth chart analysis.